This video I've called K.I.S.S tips. No, not that sort. Keep it simple, stupid type tips. Here you can see a foam sandwich door panel. I pulled this out of a skip this morning. It's a foam inner with a very thin steel front and back, and on top of that there's a sort of a thin plastic covering. And I suspect because it was over 7 foot long, 3 feet wide, it was probably a door. And judging by the mark along here, it's probably a framework, but a drop of petrol, and as you can see it all cleans off, and it's super. And this will make a really nice work top, but unfortunately it's all got damaged. Probably done when they threw it in the skip. Anyway, I intend to cut that damage off and produce a little craft table, because this will be absolutely ideal for that. It's perfectly flat, it's easily cleanable and reasonably light, but I'll have problems because it's steel. Found that out because of a magnet. So, and because it's so thin and the plastic covering, I thought, what's the best way to cut this? I did think putting it through the wall saw, but I thought the teeth of the wall saw wouldn't give a nice clean finish. So this is what I decided to do. My initial thoughts was to use the old angle grinder with a nice fine cut-off disc. But I thought, how will I get a nice straight line cut with this? I can go across the top, across the underneath, and go through the foam with just you know, a broad knife. That would give a really nice finish. So I thought, well, perhaps I can make a little shoe that this would run along. And I thought, well, why bother? You've already got one of those. It's a circular saw, why not use that? And replace that blade with that. So I investigated this, and this is loose because I've previously undone it with an Allen key. So I thought, well, why not pop that on there? But as you can see, it's a different size. This is, I think, 20 millimeters, and that's 22.3. Ah, well, I'll have to make up a little spacer then if I want to put that in there. So how did I do that? Well, fortunately I found a piece of brass pipe which I've put in the lathe, and I've parted off with the parting tool a very small spacer, and that's the spacer. I thought, well, I'll make 2 or 3 while I'm about it, because you know, this I'm bound to lose that, and they could come in handy for other items. In the process of parting this off, it went bing, and I'd lost 2 or 3. I've just dropped that one into the swarf. So I thought, well, this is damn silly. So I thought, well, I'll make a few more. Only this time, let's see if I can pan across, I'll put a piece of rod in the tailstock. See if I can do this two-handed. Brought that up and put that inside the tube. Now I'm not going to lose it, am I? Just so we can part this off one-handed. Ah, probably in the way of the camera. I'll see if I can move the camera around. No, I can't. I'll hold it with one hand. Bear with me. So there we have I mean, it's cut several more and it's captive on our piece of rod. No more hunting through the swarf then. I've now moved over into my sawdust making department and proceeding to make the frame for the craft table. So here's a few more K.I.S.S type tips. Here we have my thicknesser. It's K.I.S.S. Don't particularly recommend them, but I own it, and with a bit of modifications it's not too bad. But a very simple dust extraction is through this piping, and it has a blower fan. And what I particularly like, having moaned about it, let's pan down a bit. The tub here is where all the sawdust chippings go, and the actual bag and its funnel becomes part of the filter. I'll switch it on, it makes a bit of noise. And that usually sits underneath the bench under there, and I can tell by the weight when this is getting full. But I quite like this bag cum filter idea, so working on that premise I have made a cyclone separation for some of my other machines, but the biggest culprit is the for making sawdust is the table saw, and I've done a bit of alterations on that, and I'll show you. I've mounted the blower on a little trolley, some casters, plug it in here, there we go, and I've upped the pipe size to the saw to about 4.5 inches, 4 inches. I've made myself just a bag which plugs into there. Don't just going to show. You might do. Switch on. And that's a very simple dust collection. Comes out of the saw, goes into the bag, lays in the bag wherever I move this. No need for any frames, no need for additional wheels, no need to have it up or to have a bin, and I can just move it wherever I want. And it's ridiculously simple. I'm so very, very pleased with this this arrangement. The actual bag, of course, just unclips. All the sawdust just can get shaken into the bin, and the whole thing can be folded up and put back under the bench. Simple as that. So how do we make the bag? Well, this is a a sort of a dust sheet, sort of painter's type dust sheet. It's a good idea to pick the right sort of material. You want a very close weave. Try blowing through it. You want to be able to hold it up to the light. I think that does just show because the wind is there. Light is coming through, but there is no pinpricks of light. The closeness of the weave will reduce the number of particulates that will be in the air. And whilst I'm not suggesting this is a professional system, for all the woodworking I do, this is absolutely superb. So get yourself some sheeting. Perhaps if I can draw it out, it might be easier. Let's draw it that way, nice and big. My camera doesn't like this white paper, but bear with me. If you get a sheet and you fold it over, so you've got two layers, so you've got that, that. So that's two layers, you've folded it over here, so that's two thicknesses. And my machine, or my blower, you can scale this up, scale it down, but it seems to suit me, and it doesn't appear to be particular experiment, but this dimension across there, from there to there, is 24 inches, and the distance from there to there, that's 43 inches. It's not critical. Roughly about 30 inches from here to about there, 30 inches. Make a mark and make a diagonal mark across there. Right across here, do the same. So we're making a funnel. Okay, is that clear enough? Yes, I think it is. With two pieces, so we've got the two loose edges here. We want to sew down there as far as there, and sew down there and stop. We want to sew down here. When you've done that, the other side of your sewing, I've got my missus to sew it, but you haven't got to be clever. Just an ordinary sewing machine will do this. You can cut that off, that piece off, and you can cut that piece off. You now want another piece of the same material and cut yourself a 24-inch diameter circle and sew it to this open end up here, so your circle will be sewn in there. I don't know how you draw it, but I'm sure you know what I mean. So we've got a bag. Now this end wants to fit your machine, so it's not critical to start with. Make this smaller than you want, and then you can keep cutting off pieces until we get to the diameter of pipe of your machine. It's not critical because we can eventually put a G-clamp, not a G-clamp, a circlip around so it's all airtight and doesn't blow off. But before you do that, turn the whole thing inside out through this hole. It takes a little bit of practice, but you tease it out and turn the whole thing inside out. So all these seams that you've sewn are on the inside and it all looks nice and smart. So that's the dimensions for mine, but it isn't till you try these things that you really start to appreciate them. Just a quick reminder of the raffle for the artifact. If you meant to have a go and forgot, well, you've got until the 10th of January. So this is just a quick reminder. The response has been very poor. Well, that's the bad news, and the good news is, of course, you're more likely to win it. So if you meant to and didn't and want to, just go to my banner, click on where it says appreciation button, deposit at least £2, and there's an opportunity for you to leave a note. Just put raffle, then I'll know what it's for. So you've got till the 10th of January. Thanks for looking again, guys. All the best. Bye for now.